What's up guys, Qehzy here, or Noah, bringing you guys another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to create a colorful painted poster like this. I'm not exactly sure what to call this, which is the use for my videos, but I created this poster. I made it messy themed. You can make it any theme you want, but you can see it's really colorful, has like a painted effect. So I'm going to be showing you how to create this today. Some of the things I used in this poster making process were my own personal brushes, Photoshop brushes that are in my store. If you're interested, you can check them out. But you can also use any brushes for this. It doesn't necessarily have to be mine. It's just obviously I use mine. I would also like to shout out my Patreon subscribers who support me over there on Patreon. They're able to download all the files from my videos, including this one. They have the poster download, and they get this video early along with a bunch of other benefits. If you guys are interested, check out the link in the description. I appreciate any support there, as my channel is unmonetized. Also, be sure to check out my Skillshare. I have a link where you can get 2 months free. And Skillshare is full of great tutorials related to design and a bunch of other things too. I have 2 classes there right now with a 3rd one on its way. And like I said, you can get 2 months free, so it's risk-free. Check out the link, watch some tutorials, and help expand your knowledge in design or whatever you're interested in. Anyways, let's just go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and create a new file. Again, you can do a banner or a poster. I'm going to do a poster, so I'm just going to do a letter 8.5 by 11 as the dimensions, and we have a background of white. Now we're going to go ahead and create a new layer, and you want a brush that has sort of a painted effect, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a painted effect. I'm using these, 6 brushes here that you can see look like this. So they're pretty unique. They have like a painted look, and these were made in Illustrator. So if you can find anything that just has an interesting shape or a painted brush itself, that will work. And we're going to be overlapping these, so it doesn't necessarily have to be painted. We will add some filters and stuff to make it look more painted and blend them all together. I'm going to increase the size of this brush to about there, so 1800, and I'm going to select a different color. I'm going to select this blue, which is 00D9FF, kind of a cyan. Click OK, and I'm just going to click in we'll go to the top left, right there. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to get a slightly different brush. You could also use the same brush throughout. It would probably look pretty good still, but I'm going to change brush, increase the size of that one as well, and this one will go in the middle, and we're going to change the color to, we'll do an orange, which is FFB300, and we'll go to the top, but like slightly further up. Then let's do the same thing, changing a brush, increasing the size, and then we're going to change it to a green this time, which is 6FE14D, and this one will go to the right. Make sure to create a new layer. You don't have to create a new layer, but if you want to move these around once we put them all there, it works out a little better. Let's create another new layer, and we can keep the green, but we're going to switch brushes again. Increase the size using the brackets, and we'll go down to the bottom. Let's select the blue, change our brush, increase the size, and we'll go right there. Let's get orange then, create a new layer. And let's get our last brush here, and that will go in the corner like so. So there are 6 brushes. Once you do that, you can kind of rearrange them. So I might want to move this blue down a little bit. This initial top orange, maybe move that over. maybe move this green up slightly. Once you're happy with the placement of everything, we're going to go ahead and select them all holding shift, Command G to group, and you might want to come back to these at some point, so you can leave this group alone, press Command J to duplicate the group, and then hide that initial group. And then if you want to come back to the beginning, you can adjust things. And we're going to press Command E to merge that group into one layer. And then we're going to select the group folder that's hidden, go down here and get a solid color. And the solid color we're going to make 0B2F6A, which is a dark blue. Click OK. And that's going to be our background color for this. And then on our group here, our grouped layer rather, we're going to go to Filter and Liquify. And we're going to kind of mess around with this a little bit. I like to get this twist option here. Use the bracket tools to change the size. And start kind of messing about with these shapes. You can click and hold and it'll distort things, or you can click, hold, and drag and it'll distort it a little quicker. And you get something like that. You can also go to the top one here, the smudge, and play around with that as well to get some different looking effects here. And you can see this kind of makes it more painted, gives that painted look, which is why you can use just about any brush for this, and that's why I say you don't need my brushes per se, but I think my brushes make it a little easier. Once you get something you're happy with, you can click OK. We're then going to duplicate that layer, and then on the bottom one we're going to press Command T, press Alt, and increase the size. To duplicate the layer, by the way, is Command J. Let's right click, flip horizontal, and you can even flip it vertical as well. And we have something like this. Try to leave some spaces in there so you can see some dark blue, but that should be good enough. We can always add more there. And then these two layers we're going to merge with Command E, Shift and select them both, and then Command E to merge. And we'll call this color or something, just name it. And then on this layer we're going to double click, add a drop shadow. We're going to make sure the color is black, 100% opacity, blend mode normal, angle 90, spread 5, size 4, and we're going to increase the distance a little bit. Click OK. And then if you want to break this up a little more, you can go down to the layer mask, add a layer mask, make sure you have black selected, get a brush, and I'm going to use the brushes I used initially, and you can cut out some areas of, like on the sides. So I can come here and maybe cut something out like that, maybe go a little smaller, cut out the bottom, maybe change brushes here. And there we go. We broke that up a little better so it's not too much color. You can kind of get some of that darker background. And then on this layer, make sure you select the layer, not the layer mask. If we go to Filter, Distort, Wave, you can mess with the wavelength. I'd suggest a pretty big wavelength, 500 plus at least. So I'm like close to 700. Maybe increase the amplitude a little bit to almost 200. Click OK. And there we go. We get some nice looking effects there. That might be too much. So let me go back to the effect. Increase the wavelength. Maybe slightly decrease the amplitude to, so this is about 144 and 964. Click OK. And that's a little better. I like that. Alright, now I think that these colors all blend a little too well together. So I try to break it up with adding some shadows. So if we create a new layer and get the brush tool, we're just going to get a normal soft brush here. decrease the size, not that much, maybe around 300, and get black selected, and just follow along some of these bits here, or like follow along like the color's edge. So I'm following the green right here, follow the orange, top of the orange here, maybe the bottom of the orange, do this blue, maybe right here. And you can kind of do some bits in the middle too, so like something like that. And maybe right here is the last one. And then if we set that to overlay, and then drop the opacity to like 50 something, maybe 50 exactly will work. And then I might grab the eraser and the soft brush, maybe erase this one here a little bit. There we go. And that just kind of adds a little bit of depth to some of these, and you can erase some of them if it's too extreme in your opinion. And I might add some like right here. Actually, I think there is some there, but you can't really see it. Maybe come here. Doesn't really do anything, but that adds some depth. I'm going to create another new layer, and just to break up some of this color, I'm going to add a dark overlay using one of my brushes again. Where is this? This brush right here. I think it's called like 1109, sampled brush 1109. And I'm just going to come in and add it to a few spots. Like so. And I'm actually going to bring it down and alt click on it to make it a clipping mask, and set it to overlay, and put it in like the 30% range. And yeah, about 36%. And the way this brush looks, I think it just fits with the style I'm going for. You can use any brush that you think works as well. Now, one thing that we're lacking right now is texture. So I went to Google and got this paint texture. If you literally search paint texture, it's like one of the first ones here. And I drug that in, Command T, and rotate it. I'm going to press Alt here and just increase the size of it to fill the whole document. And I'm going to set that to soft light, and you can bump down the opacity if you'd like. I'm going to leave it pretty high, so about 95. And you can see that just adds a lot of texture to this, and I think it really overall helps everything out here, and just the texture makes everything look a lot nicer in my opinion. I'm going to create another new layer, and this time I'm going to get white selected, and I'm going to get a new brush. And I have this brush that I created that sort of looks like a topography map or something. You can see it right here. I'm sure you could find something similar on Google, but I'm going to bring this layer down and also make it a clip mask, holding Alt, selecting it. And I'm going to click up here in the top right. That might be a little too much. Maybe decrease the size, do it there, and then do one in the bottom corner, maybe a little smaller, like so. And I'm going to set that layer to overlay. I also put a clipping mask on that, got the normal soft brush, and got black and erased some of it coming in here, but left the one at the bottom. And I think that brush kind of fits in with this as well. Although ideally I'd like it a little brighter. Maybe we can duplicate it one more time. And that kind of helps the brightness a bit. Let's go ahead and create another new layer. And I'm going to use another one of my brushes. But this effect could be created in a bunch of different ways. I'm going to get this half circle brush that I have, increase the size of it, and I'm just going to put it right here in the middle. Press I to inverse it to black so you can see it a little better. And I'm going to play around with the sizing. I'm going to press Command, select this anchor point, and kind of extend that. Command minus to zoom out. Command press this anchor point. So I created this effect that goes from the bottom right to the top left, and I'm going to get a hue and saturation and set it to plus 15 on the hue, and then I'm going to command press the little thumbnail of that layer, hide it, and then on the layer mask here I'm going to press command delete with black as my background. Press Command D to deselect, and then press Command I to inverse that. So now this hue and saturation just kind of creates a subtle, not really a subtle, but it creates a effect that goes across the page like this, and it alters the color slightly but not too much. And I think it looks better than the overlay of white looks, which is why I did it this way. And you could use just about any shape like this, or any brush if you'd like, and create like similar effects using a slight hue and saturation. Now we're going to go ahead and add an image. So I have my image here, which is obviously messy. I'm going to center him, and I also already have him pen tooled out, so that would be ideal to have. You can see if I disable this, there was a background initially. But obviously I just want him here, and if you pen tool it, it doesn't have to be the greatest. Mine is kind of sloppy, but once you do that, make sure you make it a layer mask and don't just delete the background. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter, but make sure you're able to command select and get the outline of him, because then we're going to go down on our color layer, and on the layer mask we're going to command delete and press Command D to deselect, and then you'll see we cut that out of our color there. And the bottom looks a little sloppy because it was like there's not a lot going on in that image at the bottom, it's just straight across. So I'm going to try to blend that in with the background. So I'm just going to get a brush, and I'm going to do one of the ones I used earlier and get white selected and come on the bottom here and just fix it up like that. I'm gonna have to get rid of that little point in the middle though. There we go. And then on the image we're gonna select it and go down to the adjustments, get a threshold, and set it to, or just increase it to probably like 136, something like that. So you want certain spots to be white and other spots to be black, and the black spots won't be visible, and the white spots we are gonna fill with one of our colors. So if you do this and then go to select color range black, oh, make sure you're not on the threshold when you do that. Select color range black, click OK, and then on the layer mask for our image, if we get black, and make sure black is the background color here, so we can press Command Delete, Command D, you can see now the black areas have been deleted essentially, and now we just have the white areas. I'm gonna have to come here and actually get black selected and the brush tool and erase this bottom line here, but then the rest is good. And if we go above the threshold, then go to solid color, select, we gotta select one of our colors, but I'm gonna just select that for now, and then alt click on our color fill, and you can see it fills that area with a color. And if I double click on it again, I can select one of our colors here. And I'm gonna go with a blue and click OK. And now our image is there. And you could also add a few more of these. I'm obviously only going to do the one for tutorial purposes, but you could add some in other spots on the poster. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some text. So let's get white and the text tool. I'm going to select the font Raider Crusader, click in the top here, type my text, and I'm going to select it, go to my paragraph options and align it left or right. Maybe I'll do right since I'm putting it up here. Although I gotta get rid of that space. There we go. And I'm gonna double click on that and add a drop shadow and make it about 40 distance. So it's the same as our other drop shadow we used, just 40 distance. And I could even increase the size of that a little more. Cool. And then I'm gonna add the Barcelona logo, which I have here. Let me delete the background part of this. And if we just right click on the text layer and copy layer style, we can right click and paste that layer style onto the logo, which if I press Command T, I can align over here. Boom. And then you can also get the text tool again and do something like type a name or a word a couple times. So that's 5 times I type Messi, and then if we make it black, bring it up, right click and rasterize it, rasterize type, filter. You can either liquify or distort wave. And I'm going to use similar settings to the last time we used the wave. Click OK. It kind of distorts the text. And then you can use this as like another brush essentially and overlay it somewhere. So maybe down here I'll do that. Set it to overlay. And maybe we have to go over here. Yeah, there you go. You could also do that with like the number 10 or something and add a few more brushes using text. After that, you're basically done, and then everything else you can add is just like finishing touches. So if you want to go to like brightness and contrast, bump up the contrast, or mess around with some settings, maybe you want to go posterize just to get a different look or something. Feel free to mess around, change the colors maybe using a hue. That doesn't look the best, but anyways guys, that's the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe for more tutorials, follow me on Twitter @Qehzy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.